Hello again, and welcome to Arma Reforger. Today, we'll be learning how to GM, or otherwise known as being an angry god. The first thing you'll need to know as a GM is how to set up spawns for your players. You can do this through 5 different means. Your most used spawn point will be a command tent. This is a stationary building that serves 2 purposes, one being a spawn, and the other letting your players build a giant fuck-off base. Now, if you don't want your players building, you can edit the entity and remove the construction board, or just place a box over it. GM spawns are found in the catalog and can only be placed by a GM. These serve one purpose.
Spawn.
Literally, all this does is provide a spawn for the players and nothing else. The encampment serves a few purposes. It extends radio range and provides a spawn and even comes with an arsenal box. An all-in-one forward operating base to get your men straight into the action. Be aware though, it has no vehicle spawns, so make sure it's within walking distance of your objective. Now, for the fun stuff. Radio backpacks let your men get directly into the battle, considering that another player has already made it there. There's 2 ways of using a radio backpack. One, deploying it and then spawning on it. Or, the more interesting option, spawning directly on a player in an active war zone, taking hellfire from an LAV mounted up on a hill with the full support of the goddamn US government behind him. Be aware though, you'll need to make sure these settings are on for your players to use the radio backpack, and that you yourself won't really be able to use these as a GM. Last but not least for spawns is your command truck. It's slow, it's bulky, and it's hardly used, but in some rare cases it can turn tides. Working especially well in a convoy op, it keeps your men on the front lines while staying mobile. Now, let's talk arsenals. Arsenals let players build their loadouts, providing them with a selection of guns and ammunition, but its main use is to play Barbie. You'll find players standing here for hours trying to find the right pants to go with their Swiss TAZ-83 Alpine Camo combat jacket. Only the most fashionable outfits to die in, I suppose. There's 2 types of arsenals, the default player buildable one and the GM placed one. The default arsenal lets your players use their faction's weapons and equipment, and as of the new update, no longer gives them the option for medical equipment. So, you'll have to either edit the box and add those, or give them a medical tent. The second type of arsenal box being a single box that can have all of one faction's gear located in that box. You can change the factions and equipment in the box by editing the box's faction. To save equipment and weapons from other factions, you'll need to turn on this setting. This allows any team to save any item from another faction. Vehicles. These handy modes of transportation, otherwise known as heat-seeking missiles, let your players turn each other into Swiss cheese. Or provide transport either by land or air using vanilla gamemaster. All of these vehicle spawns are incredibly important. For instance, let's say you have a player here and you want them to go all the way over here. The best point of action would be to send them via helo. How would your players get a helo, you may ask? Well, you can either personally spawn them in, or provide them with a heli spawn pad. Be aware that you cannot set a limit on how many vehicles your players can spawn, so you may end up in a situation like this if you don't keep your eye on it. There's 2 other vehicle depots, one being a light vehicle depot and the other being a heavy vehicle depot. The light vehicle depot provides players with fast, light armored vehicles, like Jeeps, medic vans, and even Humvees. Now, heavy vehicle depots let players spawn in an assortment of vehicles, like spawn trucks, construction trucks, large troop transports, and even LAVs and BTRs. Your players will be begging for this since the update's still somewhat fresh, so make sure to provide them with many explosive shooting LAVs. One of the most important things as a GM is commanding AI forces. You have a variety of units to choose from and many ways to command them. Want the AI to guard a position? They can do that. Want them to fire mortars? They can do that. Want them to charge face first into your men with no care for self-preservation? You can do that. And guess what? They can even control vehicles, but not very well. Last but not least, props. Props are the backbone for any GM's operation. Their main use is to add detail. In one instance, I had a group of 4 men tracking an injured Soviet officer. The way I did that was by leaving medical garbage trails for the men to follow until they found the wounded officer, and let's say they convinced him to share state secrets. Many ops you'll be setting up will use props in one shape or form, so I recommend that you take a look in the gallery and see what you can use that best fits your setup. Before we part ways, here's some quick tips for you as an aspiring GM. The first one would be don't fight with players over 48. If they have a critique and you're not busy, meet them and try to talk it out. But if you keep arguing, it ruins the mood and you'll eventually get vote kicked regardless of who's in the wrong. Players don't like to hear arguing from a GM. The second tip, arsenal boxes have this fun glitch where if they're too close to a spawn point, it will overwrite the arsenal box and change it to the team spawn that's within the radius, so move it out of this radius. Number 3, I highly recommend using some of these operation ideas, and I'll quickly list some that you can use. The first one being a border op where one team is defending a checkpoint, checking vehicles for passports and illegal substances, and the other team's objective is to either smuggle things across the border or full-on assault the border. A second idea would be to run a convoy op. That's where you have your men lined up in cars following a predetermined path set by the GM. And it's the GM's duty to make roadblocks and ambushes to challenge the convoy and keep people entertained. You can make it even higher stakes by saying you're transporting a nuke, and if that vehicle takes damage, everyone will die. A third option could be capture the radio towers. This op is all about teamwork and inching forward towards the 3 different objectives. These objectives would have heavily dug-in enemies guarding these positions, and it's up to the players to come together and work as a team to finally push forward. Oh, and before I forget, the 55th Airborne Brigade is looking for more players, so if you're looking for a solid milsim to join, DM me at PlayerSlayer215 on Discord, and I'll see if I can get you in. Hopefully you have found some use for these ramblings I've said to you, and leave a comment if you'd like to learn about more in-depth parts about Arma Reforger, and I'll see if I can respond or make a video about it. But for now, that's it, and thank you, and come back soon.
Charcoal